joined in the studio now by the journalist and commentator Nabila Ramdani. Nabila, I know you were listening in as well to that speech by Mohammed Morsi. Didn't have any notes with him. He just basically spoke off the cuff, as we say, a very fiery speech. He's talking about rallying people to come out and vote, rallying ahead of the election. Tomorrow, of course, is Friday. Are we expecting people to come out on the streets? I was quite surprised that nobody was out on the streets today, given we've been hearing about the shock and anger at that decision to dissolve Parliament.
There was, in fact, an awful lot of outrage at the decisions made today in Egypt, not only to dissolve a third of Parliament, meaning that it was a real blow for the Muslim Brotherhood. Remember, they secured 46% of the seats in Parliament, so that measure was clearly aimed at weakening their power, their legislative power. But it also, the decisions made today were also aimed at calling for a complete rerun of the parliamentary elections. The legislative powers have been transferred to the military, to the military powers effectively, and they are also in charge of setting up a committee to draft the new constitution. So an awful lot of power given to the military in the wake of those decisions, and in fact that would imply that the incoming president will be without a parliament and indeed without a constitution. Meanwhile, the military power has increased.
So why then, if people are angry about this, that they obviously, they want their democratically elected parliament, they want this constitution, why have they not come out on the streets today to show their anger? I guess we expect that to happen in Cairo and, say, Alexandria, but there's actually been no sign of that yet.
Well, very much so. There has been a nominal expression of anger outside the courts today when the Supreme Court made its decision public. But I would contend that people were expecting the reactions of the Muslim Brotherhood in particular, and we've heard now a very firm speech by Mohammed Morsi, starting off by paying tribute to the martyrs of the revolution, saying they will never, the Egyptians should aim to never see a return of the remnant of a corrupt criminal regime under Mubarak, which spoiled the economy. He also put it in the context of the region, saying it was important for the Egyptian people, but for the Arab people in general, and indeed for the Arab Spring revolutions in a wider sense. And he invited the millions of eligible voters to say loud and clear a no to Ahmed Shafiq without naming him.
Jamal said that has been something of a gamble by Mohammed Morsi. This was a controversial presidential runoff anyway. There are many people out there who didn't want to see a runoff vote between a Muslim Brotherhood candidate and the former Prime Minister under Hosni Mubarak. They didn't fancy either candidate. He's clearly, set his cards out and said, please just don't vote for this man, vote for me. But it might not be enough, might it, if people are thinking, well, actually, I don't like either of these candidates. I don't believe they are the future of Egypt. I don't know which way to go.
Well, it's very true that there was a straight choice between either a Muslim Brotherhood candidate, an Islamist candidate, or indeed a representative of the former regime. And in that respect, young revolutionaries who drove the revolution felt that they were left without a viable candidate to represent them. Having said that, my contention is that, if anything, it might backfire for the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, their strategy to try to weaken the Muslim Brotherhood and backing up Ahmed Shafiq, the law and order candidate, might mean that people will vote massively for the Muslim Brotherhood in return, precisely because now the Muslim Brotherhood is less present in Parliament, so the fears of them controlling the whole of the political life in Egypt has gone. And let's not forget that the Muslim Brotherhood thrives on being suppressed and indeed pushed underground, and that's exactly what the military is doing. And it might mean that people will cast their vote more in favour of the Muslim Brotherhood candidate as a result.
I'm going to push ahead to the weekend vote, never mind what is happening on the streets. What happens if the Muslim Brotherhood candidate doesn't get in? I mean, are we looking at a situation, I mean, he's already talked about, if anything is falsified, if the, as he puts it, the former corrupt regime gets back into power, that the Muslim Brotherhood wouldn't stand for it. Is he talking about people going back out onto the streets and another revolution, do you think?
Yes, very much so. And I was in fact in Egypt covering the first round of the presidential elections, and there's a very strong sense that Egyptians are not willing to see a remnant of the old regime in place. And in fact, that was testified by the low turnout at the elections, much lower than the latest parliamentary elections. And we can expect the military forces to come out in force. Let's not forget that a few days ago there is reinstated martial law, which is clearly aimed at targeting protesters and preventing demonstrations. So an awful, a chaotic transition ahead.
And so much uncertainty indeed for the people of Egypt. Nabila Ramdani, for the moment, thank you very much indeed for that.